Hey, Michelle.
Hi, Josh.
How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. It's February what? February
15th, the day after Valentine's Day.
All right. Did you have a nice Valentine's Day?
I did. I had a lovely time. How about you?
It sounded like you did the smart thing of
Yes.
going out not on Valentine's evening.
Yes,
Yes.
we went out for our Valentine's celebration on the day before, the night before, had a date night, and then went out with friends last night.
That sounds great. You know, my wife, April, directs our Children's Enrichment
Yes.
Center preschool here on campus, and she had not let me know that last night was parents' date night. So she watched kids, including our own Nancy June. And so I had kind of a bachelor night at home. I got a Subway sandwich, which my wife doesn't like. So I had Subway and watched a little sports and played some Xbox.
Self-care.
Yes.
You are the love of your life, so that's a good choice.
I am the sunshine of my life, at least for tonight, until they came home. We've got a lot of great stuff going on at Mile High. We're in the middle of our classes. I know you're teaching a couple classes. I'm teaching a couple classes. And we're getting ready for spring renewal and Easter and Coot Blackson.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. It just gets better and better.
Yeah, so that's really exciting. And what are you most looking forward to of all those things?
I can't say one of them stands out above the other. I love them all. I think people underestimate the spiritual depth of Good Friday and the opportunity from a metaphysical viewpoint that Good Friday can be a very enriching date. And I love the tonality of that service, even though I know we're switching it up a bit this year. Reverend Carol is going to be leading it and maybe doing some new things. I always love Easter here. It's always a sign of spring, and you give such a great Easter message. Your Easter messages are my favorite Easter messages I've ever heard. So
Jeez,
I'm looking forward to those.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
You heard it here on the podcast.
And then, of course, Coot just has got me all on fire. I cannot wait to have his presence in our sanctuary. I think he's just going to light us all up like crazy.
Yeah, you've done such a great job promoting that event, Michelle, because every time I'm talking to someone at Mile High Church, they're saying, so I've been reading The Power of Surrender. And so I think a lot of people, they're unsure, and then they get his book, and that's what I hear. It's like, it's not that it's not stuff I haven't heard before, but it's said in such a vibrant, renewed way. And so, pick up that book and head to this event, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm really happy that people are trusting us because we're bringing new speakers. A lot of the speakers that we've all relied on for years are not doing their speaking as much, or they've passed into the next plane of existence. And I love our vision for bringing forth the next generation of amazing speakers. And I think Coot's going to be part of that generation. So.
Yeah, so I think you and the team, I think, have done a next job of saying who are the new Wayne Dyers, who are the next Deepak Chopras, and bringing those folks in. So it's been exciting to be a part of that.
Yeah,
and I think I'm excited. I get to not make up a class, but I'm going to do a class called Finding Meaning in March that I'm looking forward to. It's an in-person class, but it's inspired by the works of Viktor Frankl, who a lot of people know as the guy who talks about choice a lot and lived through the concentration camp, but he was kind of a brilliant spiritual psychologist. And so it's going to be a great, just 4-week class, but it's all about finding meaning in our lives and doing something which is challenging for us positive religious scientists, which is to look at our times of sorrow and suffering to either see where the meaning came from in that, or to build new meaning today as we step into a brighter future. So I'm looking forward to doing that too.
When is that class?
That class starts Thursdays in March. I think March 7th, I think, is the first date for that.
And how many weeks are you doing it?
It is 4 weeks.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
So I'm looking forward to that. And both you and I are on a plane Sunday to go to, I think it's beautiful, South Carolina. I've never been there before.
Charlotte, South Carolina.
For the Centers for Spiritual, the Charlotte's, North Carolina. I know enough of the...
Oh, we're going to Charleston.
We're going to Charleston.
I
was going to say Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
So we're looking.
We're getting on a plane. We don't know where, but
and we can always do more events with Centers for Spiritual Living because we're here at Mile High Church and we're part of this greater organization. And both of us have been a part. I've been a part of it for 30 years. You've been a part of it for 40 or so years. And it's always interesting to go and connect with our colleagues and to kind of ask that question: who are we as a movement today, and where are we going? going. And, our founder, Ernest Holmes, in those Holmes papers that came out in the late 80s or early 90s or so that George Bendel put together, he talks about religious science being the next great religious impulsion.
Right.
And, every once in a while, we're in a class or something, and it's not like religious science hasn't been successful as an organization. I think in, 2027, it will have its 100-year anniversary,
Right.
Institute of Religious
It'll be
Science.
a big party.
But I think the question sometimes is, why hasn't it been even bigger? Why isn't it the key religious movement in America or in the world? And I'm just going to ask you that easy question.
No, that's an easy question. I don't know. Well, I have given a lot of thought to this question, and I think that right now my answer remains the same as I've contemplated recently about how much what we teach is really in the culture of, especially here in the United States, but I think in Europe and the US and Canada, a lot of, and now I guess even down in South America, the notion that your thoughts actually change your life has become much more mainstream. So in a way, our teaching and aspects of it are more mainstream. And because people have turned away from church and spiritual organizations to some degree, they're not sure they want to be in organized religion. Dr. Fred used to say, well, that's okay. We aren't so organized, but we are pretty organized. Actually, we've got communities all over the world. I think people just don't understand what a Science of Mind church is, or a Center for Spiritual Living church is, thinking it's Scientology or it's Christian Science. So there's this kind of misunderstanding that keeps them from stepping into something that they're already aligned with. And that, to me, really is the question. How do we get ourselves out there and make people know we exist? And there's a huge market of people who are already aligned with us. And we see them almost every Sunday as they come in and go, oh, I didn't know a church believed. This is what I believed for years. This is my home. Oh, wow, I didn't know you guys existed. And so that's the place that I don't know how come we're missing that. Yeah.
Well, I think, what I'm hearing you say too is although, the church itself as an organization perhaps hasn't grown a whole lot, the ideas have become, mainstream, be it through Oprah and Wayne Dyer or just through culture. And I think another thing too is a lot of these ideas are Christian and, other faiths, they caught on to them, and so when you're watching Joel Osteen on Sunday morning,
totally.
you're hearing a lot of that too. And so I think that's a great overview. And, I think, that would be one of the things that I'm always wanting to hear how our organization is doing, but I'm also always interested in seeing, why or how are we going to be the spirituality of the 21st century? And, I'm always interested in our principles, but I'm also always interested in, are we providing a relevant stream of for people today for what they're looking for? And, when we think of, where people, and I hate to categorize, but, we're in an age of anxiety, increased anxiety. We're in an age where community is less and less common for people. Where people are interacting more with their phones than they are with other human beings. And we're in an area where everybody's competing for everybody's time. I don't know someone who says, I have a lot of free time on my hands. And so there's so much, and so it's interesting how we can step into those things as centers, as churches, as organizations to really help people live better lives. And although I care deeply about our movement, I care about Mile High Church, I hope that my ministry is about helping people live better lives.
I think that it definitely is. And I think that that's also something that we'll hear more about when we go to this conference, and has been a mystery to me, is that you and I both work pretty hard to do this ministry and to take care of the people who are already here, which we love to do, and it's an honor to do. And we do a lot of work in the world to benefit other organizations. And we don't do a lot of touting our own horn and trying really hard to get out there and let people know about us, mostly because we don't have the time or the bandwidth as an organization often to do that. So I think that other churches who are not nearly as big as us suffer from that same thing, and it becomes really hard for them to figure out that to me is part of where we could meet that dissonance, is that if we could empower our communities better with, here are ways to easily let people know you exist. And we thought social media was going to be it, but it just hasn't been, just not going to bring those results. And so that's one of the challenges that I see too, is that people just, the ministries themselves are not equipped and don't know how to do that.
No, I think that's a good insight, and I get to share at the convention. And one of the things that I don't mean to be controversial with them, but I think it was really around 2008 or so that a lot of the churches changed from religious science to centers for spiritual living, and it could be one of the reasons we're not more popular is because our name's too weird. Right.
Well, it could be.
And so, it's interesting to say, gosh, 15, close to 20 years in, going and moving a lot of our churches now calling themselves centers, and as opposed to using religious science, using spiritual living. How's that worked for us?
Yeah.
Has that been successful? What kind of results are we seeing? Even if it hasn't expanded in numbers, has it changed the type of people, new people that are coming in? And I think that's a really interesting question for all of us to ask ourselves.
It is. That's great. I'm glad you're going to mention that. So we're going to get to see our colleagues, not only ministerial, a whole bunch of practitioners, lay people show up to this conference and just get a sense of how we're growing our community.
Yeah, and we just, if you're listening to this, we just encourage you to keep living that spiritual life. And we appreciate you listening to Mile High Church. And we hope that in some way, the programming here, not only that you feel, some ownership of Mile High Church, but that you're getting something out of hanging out with us.
Yeah, and I think it helps people to know we're part of something bigger than just this local amazing community.
Yeah, and I've never been to the Atlantic Ocean before.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I've been to the East Coast, but I've never been to the beach. So I'm excited because I think we're close to the ocean.
We are. So I think we're going to have a meeting or two by the ocean.
Okay. Right. But I wonder if there can be boogie boarding with Reverend Josh. It might be cold out there.
I was going to say the water's probably pretty cold this time of year.
I can do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I bet you can.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.